Hello everyone. The first website that I'll be looking at as part of my 5 technologies for this course is pHET Simulations. This is a website that's ran by University of Colorado Boulder, but the whole idea of it is just using online simulations to help students and even teachers sometimes see how things are really working on a different level or on sometimes a scale that you can't really do in a normal classroom. So I use this throughout both my science classes as well as my engineering classes, and it just depends on what I'm trying to incorporate for the time. And as you've seen this scroll through, there's a lot of different options as well. For those of you who have not used something like this before, they're in the process of transitioning from Adobe Flash to HTML5, which of course is going to be supported by any browser at that point. So some of them are good, some of them are not in that regards, and you just kind of have to make sure you're on the right track. For what we're looking at today, I'm just going to show you one that I use within my class and kind of how to find some different things as well. So they do organize their simulations by different grade level, by different content. You can search for them as well. Since I teach mostly Earth and Space Science, I'm going to head that direction. And one that I actually use most years is this Gravity and Orbits or the My Solar System. They're pretty similar between them, but we'll just use this as an example. And this one's showing us that it's an older one that they have not actually remade yet, but luckily it still works for us here. And then the nice thing about this is that you're pretty open to do whatever you want for it. In my case, I actually have kind of a guided thing to get them started, and then I honestly let them play with it, see what happens. For instance, if we look at this is the Earth-Moon system, Earth being the pink orb that's going to be moving at a certain velocity, and our sun being much larger, much higher mass, as you can see down here at the bottom, with no initial velocity, at least in comparison to each other. And if we just let this go, we see a few things right away. First and foremost, most of my students always mention that they didn't expect the sun to move, and they thought that it was rigid and stayed still as the Earth is going around. So that alone is a pretty big eye-opener for them. And even looking through other stuff, we have a lot of different possibilities and different ideas. And like I said, I kind of just let them play around with it. Some of these end up making some pretty cool patterns going through, and it's something that when I first found this website, or this one in particular, I certainly spent probably more time than I needed to just checking out and seeing some different ideas of what's going on. So it gives us a lot that we can actually work with, not just with the fact that, yes, the sun, planet, and moon, that they're going to be moving around and having those interactions between each other, but actually does a really good job of introducing things like Kepler's laws. In fact, when we look at ellipses, this is a great example of how you can talk about the two focus points and how it's going to change where things, or the shape of the ellipse, as well as the speed and how it changes with the green dot getting so much closer and so much faster, and then as it's further away, it's going a lot slower. One thing I will point out for you, because this comes up year after year, especially if you give students the chance to mess around with it, which I do suggest that you let them try it out. Most of the time looking at this, it's fairly accurate going through, but we start to see some issues here. And in this case, our comet's being pulled by the Earth and eventually slams into the sun. That's part of the fact that we are not being as accurate as possible. My students who complain about that or say, well, we're just saying everything's going to crash, I have them crank up the accuracy here. And all it's really doing different is it's just going to be more accurate, of course, with its calculations, because this is all based off of calculations on how it's working out. So if we let this play through, which I'm not for the sake of time, it's not going to crash in the same way. Once students realize that, they're probably going to go to the exact opposite, and you see it crash immediately, but it allows you to kind of see how that's going to change your data, and it's a great way to kind of tie in the idea of scientists have to be accurate, and it's not just a matter of, close enough, it's a matter of this is... the accuracy is going to make a big difference. So like I said, this is just one website I use. There's a lot of different opportunities or a lot of different labs that are on here. I've used a decent number of them, and some of them I still haven't been able to integrate myself, but it's one that I would absolutely recommend if you have any interest in having a science lab online. Thanks.